and I will look at it and mock it quietly. Alon has the mute button.
I can mute.
Now this is the usual bit where we continue to talk as if no.
This is where we wait for a few people to show up.
Yeah, and then they get here and go, "What the hell did I just walk into?"
Did you tell them that I'd be here? That will affect.
They don't know you're here. No, I didn't tweet that because I wanted them to come.
That's the thing. I didn't say which way it would affect it. I just said it would.
So I guess I should go and join the Gitters. And
0 viewers.
The Gitters and the Twitters.
Yeah, somebody.
Well, who would expect we would be on time?
Yeah, that's the problem. This is the first time we've been on time in weeks, right?
Maybe ever.
Maybe ever. I best retweet the community stand-up link because I'm sure that Hanselman doesn't have enough followers.
John, can you do that?
Sure.
What is today? Tuesday? Did everybody upgrade to iOS 10?
No.
I heard you shouldn't.
I heard you're not supposed to.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's fine.
iOS doesn't install on this.
Okay.
So I can't.
It's not as funny as you think it is, Elon.
Well.
Is that your Samsung Galaxy Note?
Does it look like it's on fire?
Okay. Our viewership has dropped off considerably now that you're here, Elon.
I can leave. I was asked to join.
I mean,
I want to get more people. Look, 2 people just left.
Yeah. We went from 0 to -2. How's that possible?
I think it's because we're not talking about anything.
Yeah, I wouldn't keep watching if I was you.
We went from
John doesn't even want to
34 people to 32 people. Okay, here we go. Hey, everybody. It is the ASP.NET Community Stand-Up. It is Tuesday, the 13th of September, and Damien is on vacation. Lucky guy.
Yeah.
John Galloway is here.
Hello.
And Glenn and Elon are here because we needed more dudes. Needed more dudes because you can't have too many dudes. Yes, so 4 of us are here, but we brought Elon for a special reason because what is your job, Elon? Just to make sure people know who you are.
I'm the engineering manager for ASP.NET and Entity Framework. So I, keep an eye on people, keep an eye on the product, and.
Do you code anymore, or have you forgotten all that?
They don't let me.
But
don't let me.
If you don't sort your using statements, Elon will be all over that.
Yep, absolutely.
I heard that you invented the update panel.
I did. Yeah, it was like.
Can you still admit to that
10 years ago.
Publicly?
I'm proud of it. It's a great piece of technology. It's amazing.
It was magical.
As well as
Yeah, amazingly misused.
Too magical for some, but
very.
It's a thing. It's a thing.
Damien just retweeted us, which means he's watching, which is awkward.
It is.
That's not really
Hi, Damien. If you come to work occasionally, you would be here.
Yeah. All right. So, John, let's do community stuff first, and then let's talk about what happened today and hear from Elon.
Let's do that. It is happening. Okay. So, can you see this?
I can see that.
Awesome. This is, I'm starting with this. This is the Apache Software Foundation. They've got a blog post about how they need help with Log4Net. And I'm just calling that out because I'd mentioned in the past they are making some updates on it. That's awesome. But it's just a few folks that are working really hard on this. So if you use Log4Net, now is a good time to get involved. They're willing to help you. They will get you set up and pointed at issues you can work on. So, good stuff. James Chambers, one of the ASP.NET monsters, he wrote about creating his own custom conventions. He wanted an attribute for putting a rabbit controller, and so he's showing how to do that. So if you like.
We absolutely thought about having a rabbit controller attribute in the core.
Yeah, that's going to be in the ASP.NET Core 1.1. So.
What does it really mean, though, John?
Well, he's just actually using that as a custom convention. So he's multiplying his things because rabbits multiply. It's kind of a silly example, but if you like rabbits, but more importantly, if you like custom conventions, that is what you really want to read that for.
I see, bending it to your will. So if you don't like our conventions, you do your own conventions.
Exactly, the naming conventions for controllers or whatever. Yep.
Nice.
Yep. Steve Desmond, so he's blogged in the past about how he's been upgrading his blog to run on newer versions of ASP.NET Core and how they've affected performance and stuff. So in this post, he went through and used NDepend and took a look at his application and figured out how to improve the architecture.
NDepend. Scroll up a little bit to some NDepend. NDepend is not only a lovely application. Look at that dashboard. It has actually been a lovely application for years.
A long time.
One person shop. Patrick Smacchia knows about this stuff. So if you want to do dependency analysis with .NET, this is it. It is the great tool. So method complexity, it's almost like you can SQL query over your own code and you can say, show me methods with a cyclomatic complexity of 3 or more or whatever. You can do rule violations. It's like FX cop on steroids. It's really special.
Yep.
And depend.
All right, Hisham writing about he wanted to do his configuration not with JSON or XML, but he wants to use YAML. And so he shows how to do that. He set up YAML configuration support in ASP.NET Core. So pretty neat. And actually not very much code here, just a quick YAML reader. So I'd mentioned before some stuff about localization, and Anders contacted me and he said he packaged up something that Philip Waj had done about localized route convention, and so Anders created a NuGet package for that. So if you would like to use localized routes, this is an example of how to do that, and it's a NuGet package for that.
Localized routes. So saying ENUS in the route or having a non-English word in the route?
I believe in this case, this is non-English words in the route. So, for instance, if you want to have like specific
tokens
right.
swapping out. Oh, look at that. Okay, good. So, and it's two ways, right? Because the great thing about routing is it's not just saying here's the URL and go over here, but it's also saying what is the URL and give me one and generate it for me.
So, if you didn't want to have home index or whatever, right? You wanted to have whatever, CASA. I don't know what index is. Moving on, Mohammed Rahan Sahid, he's writing this time about the .NET Watch tool. So just how it's set up, how it's configured, and how it interfaces with Visual Studio.
How it would interface with Visual Studio, I suppose. I mean, it doesn't interface at all by
yeah, no. I mean, just basically how it's surfaced in the right.
I mean, it's kind of interesting because it's not really like .NET Watch and Visual Studio were not two things that were kind of supposed to go together, at least from our point of view when we were playing with it. But it's cool that they can, and they work.
Well, does Visual Studio not kick it when you save automatically?
Yeah.
For certain files, that works anyway. So, for example, for a Razor CSHTML view, you can change that whenever you want. It'll get picked up. But for a .cs file, you'll need to restart your application. So I guess it's pretty neat to be able to.
So this is a useful thing. This is a useful thing.
Yeah, I think it can be.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, it seems silly that you would be able to go and say, change a CS file and hit save and have it kick and restart and not be able to do it on Visual Studio Code, but not on Visual Studio proper. This should be built. This should be built in.
It's tricky. It's. I know when I develop my applications, I might have my app running and, I found a bug or there's a feature I want to add to it. And so I might need to go edit 3 or 4 different CS files. And I hit save because I'm a relentless saver. I probably don't want my application to kick
every time
on every one of those because I know I need to make 5 or 6 different changes in various places. I might need to refactor something. So it's probably not for everybody. But having it show up, the really neat thing in Visual Studio is that you can add as many items as you want to that drop-down list. So depending on what you're doing, you can just pick the one that suits your work style. So that's actually, I think...
no, that's a good point. I like that. That's a good point.
Cool. All right. Riza is writing about using ASP.NET Core SignalR in a Windows 10 UWP app. So not released yet. So Riza is using the nightly feeds for that.
Cutting edge.
Cutting edge stuff. So yeah, pulling down the nightly feeds. And
don't scroll too fast because it's a video capture thing.
There is a lot here, though. This is a long post.
Wow.
And they deployed to Azure also, and showing how to turn on WebSockets here in Azure.
Respect for the screenshot game.
Yeah, really nice. Quick post here from Dominic writing about one feature that they implemented in Identity Server 4. This is clients without secrets. So they had requests for something called public clients, which don't require a secret, and so now they have that support if you want that. This is Damien Bowden, and he's writing about action argument validation using an action filter. So this is completing a series that Damien wrote on using this in an MVC application. So cool stuff. And as always, Damien's got a lot of nice code there, so that's good. This is cool, and I don't know if you want to jump in on this as well, Scott, because you mentioned it to me also. So this is Oren, and Oren set up an Authenticode signing service and client. So the idea is part of your continuous build that you can go in and sign something. You put your certificate, you set your certificates up on the server, and it's a service that will sign stuff for you. And I believe that's part of creating a signed package, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so if you think about all the things you have to do to go and automate the release of something and automate the creation of something, being able to Authenticode sign is hard, and it's like the last mile. You get your thing to pop out an executable, and then you got to go and do signing it. But the cheesy way to do it would be to put the cert on the build server, which is not secure. Mm-hmm. He's come up with a way to provide that secured API. Where it's the right way to do it. It's very clean.
Cool.
I think he's working with
how Microsoft does it as well.
Microsoft has best practice.
Microsoft has code signing servers, and you submit jobs to them. Microsoft does not give every employee access to the signing certificates, believe it or not.
Yeah.
So we have a service, and there's an API for it. You make some calls. You get moments later, hours later, depending on how many megs or gigs of stuff you're signing, it comes back and it's all signed.
Now, if we're talking about the same signing server that I've used, I'm willing to guess that Oren's signing service is a little bit easier to use.
I'm guessing his does not involve using COM objects from an MS build.
Well, we're also trying to get this in he's talking to Martin from the .NET Foundation to see if this is like a service that they could, provide or wrap up or somehow make this so people who are already in the foundation could sign their stuff cleanly.
Nice.
Very nice stuff. Always good stuff from Oren.
Okay, and ending up with this is Barry Doran's. I talked to him about this today and asked him if he wanted me to, push this here, and he said yes. So this is a security advisory. This is an update due to view components in MVC. So this is something where you do want to update your MVC package. He shows you how to do that, and he also recommends that you go and get and that you update your templates. So this is suggested actions, recommends update your templates. And since you folks watching are a little more deep technical on this, I kind of dug through. I looked into the discussion, and he linked to the associated comment. Associated commit, and it's just a one line. So this is in the way the services are injected. So anyhow, so that's that.
Yeah, it just makes sure that things aren't shared across requests.
Exactly.
Yep.
So important things, and feel free to correct me, tech folks, but this is the idea is you do want to update your project JSON. You want to make sure that you're pulling in the latest ASP.NET Core MVC, and then update your templates.
So does Elon, does the project JSON come with 1.0.0 or 1.0.star?
Everything should be 1.0.0 out of the box. Obviously, anybody can change it to use star if they want.
There are no stars in any of our.
But we generally have people just use 1.0.0 or whatever the specific version number is. That way, it makes sure that you and your colleagues and anybody else cloning your repo always get the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you use star, it's pros and cons like anything. You'll always get the latest 1.0 star, which maybe you want.
The main use case that we kind of talk about for star is where you, depending upon the latest version of your packages that you're building as part of your thing. It's not because not to depend upon somebody else's new third-party NuGet package to depend on star. It's for when you are doing a build and your star is going to be the build number, basically, of your stack.
Yep.
Cool.
It's an interesting, though. I like this bug fix because did we talk? I think at some point in the past, I remember a community stand-up where we talked about transitive and singleton and DI, and so this kind of highlights some of the importance, I guess, of understanding which of those you should use when you're adding a service. Knowing what the lifetime of your thing you should be is important.
Cool.
Which also leads us to something that we should have maybe said, which is that there was a whole bunch of stuff released today, right?
Yeah. Actually, we probably should have said that first.
Yeah.
let me share my screen then, if that's okay, Glenn, and we can walk through some of that, right?
Yeah.
So,
sounds great.
Which of my screens do I share? GitHub. Let me know if you see stuff.
I can see stuff.
Present to everyone. So if we go to .net and go to download .NET Core, right? We've changed this subtly, where it says .NET Core 1.01, right? So we're downloading not 1.1, 1.01, correct?
That's
so
correct.
But the tooling is the same. So this is a update to the runtime, and the tooling for Visual Studio hasn't changed, but I think that the SDK CLI has changed a little bit, correct? Yeah, so I went and I just have to install this one thing. I only have to run that one thing. And what I did on my machine was I ran it, and then I went over here.
So Ben, people are telling me on GitHub that they can't see your screen.
They can't see my screen?
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, hang on a second. Let's start all over again.
We can see
it.
Let's start all over again. Thanks, Tim. All right, we'll back up. Hey, everybody. It's Google. Mm-hmm. If you go to .net, all right, folks, and you click on Download Core, this has changed. It says .NET Core 1.01. Okay, it's not 1.1. This is less than a minor, right? It's a tiny runtime update.
But because of course, the second that you said new stuff, there were people in GitHub saying, "Oh, 1.1 is shit. It's amazing."
Oh, yeah. So it's a runtime update. So let's talk about what that means, and you all can correct me if I get it wrong. So I just run this one thing, and it was a 5-minute install. It took nothing at all. Now what I did though, because I'm me, is I opened up program files.net while I was doing the install, because I wanted to see it happen. And I went into the SDK folder, okay? And while I was in there, this folder appeared while the installation was running, okay? So we see that it's a new build of the SDK, and I can confirm that. And actually, true story, I was out at the command line like this. I typed .net-info, and then I waited while the installer was going, and then I typed .net-info again, and it went from 3121 to 3131. Okay? And if we go down here, I make a new folder.
Yeah, that's my folder.
.NET new. You get that initial cache, that local package cache that pops up there, right? Mm. And then let's look in here. We'll use Notepad 2, which is one better. So we've got 1.01, right?
Yes.
I believe similarly the web template, if you do a .NET new -t web, has also been updated.
It should be. If it's not, then that would be a great bug to find in the middle of the...
Yeah, I should have tested that myself with the build that you're using.
You cannot come in. I'm doing a live show.
Yep, it's got 101. Now, of course, it's important to note not everything.
So that's a good question, Ilan. Why isn't everything? Doesn't that mean that this is the beginning of confusion?
Yes, and too bad.
Why not just rev it all?
Yeah. Well, so it is definitely an interesting point.
Like, I guess what I'm saying is
more confusing.
This is ASP.NET. Revved ASP.NET MVC.
Yep.
Kestrel routing and parts of Entity Framework.
Yep.
Why not just rev it all and call it all 1.01?
We definitely thought about doing that, and we felt it would be more confusing to update lots of things that actually have no updates.
Right.
It is possible to have applications that use only subsets of things that don't update, in which case you would see there's a new patch, yet you'd probably want to update your versions to stay within the supported versions that we have that indicate you do need to update to the latest patch to make sure you're running on supported bits.
So does that mean that while we're under in this side, what is it, like major minor build?
Major
minor patch. Doesn't that mean that we're going to end up in some weirdo world like this?
It does, yeah. You could imagine, a year from now.
Then does it all get cleaned up when we go here?
It will all get cleaned up. Yeah, for 1.1, there is new builds of everything, of every single thing that we built.
That's what I wanted to hear. So patches, this changes, and things get cleaner and tidier when we go to minor.
Absolutely.
So that makes it more palatable. But the fix is to go and make those couple of changes. So let's go and figure out where that is. I go and look for the .NET blog. Is it on .NET blog? Did we not publish this yet?
Some of them, I'm not sure if all the posts are live yet.
It doesn't look like.
I know we had a bunch of email threads where we're
talking trying to figure these out because this is all kind of coming out now. I'm looking for there should be a blog post.
Yes, so the web dev blog, I believe.
That's not out either.
For crying out loud.
Which is why
where are the release notes?
Watching this are going, well.
So we definitely have stuff up on GitHub.
No, but to be clear, everything should be out in a single blog post, and they're trying to figure out where that is. What we want to see, though, is if you go to .NET, under release notes, I thought we marked it. Here we go, right there. See this here? So we're in GitHub.net release notes. This is where we're going to link to. So those blog posts should have been up, but let's look at this here.
Presumably goes nowhere right now.
No, but it's just it's important that those blogs will go live soon, but they should have gone live before. Okay, so. Yes, he's actually got the link there. Okay, so we've got the security advisory for MVC. You can read about that in the discussions around it here. We just talked about that a little bit. An interesting one, but still kind of straightforward. And then we've got the actual CLR issues that were fixed in each one of these. So you can go and figure out what's an issue that's been closed. So this really was minor, wasn't it, Milan?
Yep. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And the ASP.NET Core page obviously links to several more.
Okay, so let's do that. Let's do that.
There is a link at the bottom of that page.
Yeah, there's a link at the page you're on.
There is? There you go. Okay, so let's go back.
Yeah.
Okay, so here is our 1.1 release.
As you say, there's supposed to be no breaking changes. Like there should be nothing.
Well, because if we follow SEMVer, this is a patch release.
Which is why everything is kind of minor, right? It should be
it
should be for the most part a non-event. It's just
exactly. It should be a non-event because if anything breaks, then we did something wrong. So here's our security vulnerability with all the details, and then I'm going to just go and hit middle mouse button.
Yeah.
And open each of those 5 things there.
Yeah, so it's worth noting that for each of those are the 5 repositories. We have over 50, but only those 5 repositories had anything in this patch release. So that's why we only linked to those 5. So for example, in Razor, there was nothing for the patch, so there's nothing to say there. There's no new build. There's no new version of that.
Yep.
But for those 5 repos, we did.
Right. Which explains then, if we go back to Notepad, why certain things were changed and certain things weren't.
So if you look at the repositories, they line up exactly with the ones that have updated versions.
So we had the one security thing. We had an anti-forgery FIPS compliant bug. And what's nice about these things is you get to read all about the discussion. You get to see the call stacks. You get to see exquisite detail. And then the closing 27 days ago with the actual code you can look at. Okay. Then you've got Entity Framework.
Good amount of stuff there.
Which is, nice bunch of stuff. Actually happened a couple of weeks ago. Quietly. You've got an HTTP response body.
So this one's interesting because there was a blog post I featured a month ago or something, and somebody ran into this, and it's just cool to see like this. It's if you like, in this case, the MVC one, right? You're gonna want to grab that right away because it does have a security related issue. But for the other ones, it's kind of like it's nice to see fixes and features kind of rolling out like this when they're available.
Well, it's nice to watch it. So here is a bug or an issue coming up August 3rd, so a month and 10 days ago, with a contrived yet clear example. Then discussion, you can see the different things. Patch proposed shows up.
I hate to interrupt, but I think I just discovered something very interesting, because we were wondering why so many people were hitting this issue, and it turns out it's because we figured somebody had blogged or there was a sample, and it turns out I just heard somebody named John admit that he blogged how to do this thing that's causing this issue.
So somebody blogged about how they had run into this issue, and here's the workaround for it. And
so you blogged the workaround.
Right. Yeah, they did.
Did it get on the community stand-up?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we still haven't yet found kind of.
Because we've been wondering, like, where were people writing this code? It's easy for us to fix, and it's a good fix to have. So
I'll find
no harm, no foul. But
maybe send that to them, John.
Well, it doesn't matter anymore. We patched it, so it's not a problem.
Yeah. No, but it's still interesting. So then you get to go and see the process and how long it takes, and then there's the, so how long it takes from bug report to fix.
Yeah.
It's worth noting also that even though we just released the patch official bits on NuGet.org this morning, we have nightly feeds for all the builds from the moment it's checked into the right branch. So we have a patch feed on dotnet.myget.org. And
actually, I was looking here. This is a good reminder. I was showing this to Maria this morning, that the ASP.NET Build System has 3 MyGet feeds for each branch, and then NuGet for official releases. So if you want to live on the cutting edge, you can watch if it makes you happy.
You know what might not be listed there is the patch feed. I'm not sure if that's on there.
You want to fix that?
Let's just scroll down there. Is it on there?
No.
Doesn't look like it.
So let me email you.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, we'll get that updated. Right after this.
I can't spell Alon.
Wow, I'm offended.
Yeah,
I will fix that.
Now we're going to realize that Alon has a filter for all of Scott's emails.
Yeah, I didn't get you.
Totally true.
Yeah, but we do have a. If you go to dotnet.myget.org/gallery, we do have a
.net
called, I forget what it is.
myget.org/gallery.
Yeah. So on there somewhere should be a patch. Yeah, I think there it is. So that has the nightly builds of all our patch packages. So if we're working on the next patch or whatever it is, you can definitely get the bits from there and test them out, make sure they work for you. If you have any issues, obviously, file a bug, let us know.
So that is at dotnet.myget.org/gallery.
Yep.
And is that documented?
That is documented for the other feeds, I believe. But
maybe put a link to this. On the link that I just sent you.
Yep, that's a good idea.
Cool. So a couple of small ones here in MVC.
Yep. So that bottom one is the security.
Yeah.
Related one, I believe.
A couple mapping things. And what is FIPS?
FIPS stands for Federal Information Processing Standard. And it's used especially in U.S. government installations, and it has to do in part with which choice of implementation of crypto algorithm. Some have been certified to be FIPS compliant, some have not. And this isn't about which algorithm necessarily, as much as which implementation of the algorithm. And so in .NET, you have access to multiple different versions of algorithms, and there was a kind of a comedy of errors situation in the code base where the MVC code thought it was doing the right thing, but given some circumstances, it was selecting the wrong implementation of the algorithm. So we fixed that, and that affected anti-forgery and MVC itself, which call into the crypto APIs.
Cool.
And we just made sure that it's compliant, because as folks are writing applications that need to be used by U.S. government, they have to enable FIPS compliant behavior on the installations, and it turns out ASP.NET Core had a couple bugs, so we fixed those.
Cool. Last one was this request not matching route with defaults. So if you have a route with an optional with a default,
exactly,
it broke, so it looks like it's a regression.
Yeah, it basically didn't match. it was a regression from previous versions of routing in MVC.
I see.
So it unfortunately it shipped in ASP.NET Core 1.0.0. It shipped unfortunately broken. We thought we had tests for it. We had very similar tests, but not ones that have apparently covered this exact scenario. So we fixed that.
Cool. And there you go. Closed 19 days ago and now shipped. So then again, you'll get all of this stuff easily. If you just go to .NET, you only need to run this little bit right there. If you're on a Mac, we updated the PKG. And from a runtime perspective, you can go and make those changes to your 101s. Now, where was the blog post that said exactly which to change? Where was the release notes for that?
You mean the one thing that you looked at on the home repo? Is that what you're talking about?
Is that on the home one?
Well, the repo, the things you need to update match to the...
Yeah, I want to find the bit that says where to update. Is that in the blog post that has not yet been written? Or not yet been posted?
Given that I'm not writing
how could we answer that?
Oh, for crying out loud. Y'all.
Who is it that's writing the blog post and who do they report to?
Jeff Fritz is writing the web dev.
And who is Jeff Fritz's boss?
I am his boss.
Oh.
You're making me feel sad now. He's probably listening and now you made him sad.
Oh.
Yeah, I think the last I saw, I think they were done with the blog post, but maybe it just hasn't gone through.
The blog post is up in a private repo right now being discussed.
I heard they were waiting for their boss to review it or something.
If you look right up here, this is the .NET blog post. I'm just going to, probably Rich Lander's probably watching. This is the .NET Core blog post being discussed. And looks like they had updates as few as 19 minutes ago.
That's not a ship icon.
That's just a ship, I think.
It's just a ship. The ship should be a squirrel.
Exactly. That's not a squirrel.
The ship at squirrel.
Maybe that's the hang-up. Maybe it was the
about
wrong emoticon.
Yeah, this just doesn't make any sense.
No wonder it hasn't been shipped. You didn't put the right icon on it.
It's the wrong emoji. It's the wrong emoji. You can't do that.
Where do we talk about it, though?
So I think that's the .NET one, which I think is supposed to link to the web dev one, which has, I think, more details specific.
But see this part here? You don't need to do anything to get your application to use 101. It will roll forward as discussed.
.NET Core, which is the underlying runtime and shared framework.
Here we go. This is the part. This is what I wanted to see. This is what I wanted the audience to see. .NET Core has a roll forward policy for patch versions. That's what we wanted.
Yes, but it does not include ASP.NET Core
Understood.
and Entity Framework Core.
Understood. So this is important.
Yeah, that's a really cool feature.
Yeah, it is a cool feature. It's doing exactly what it should, because this is why it's so important that they not break stuff. So patch versions per semver don't break stuff. So after you install .NET Core 101, apps that previously used 1.0 use 101. That's good. That means you get your quality reliability features. That's why these small patches are minor.
Yeah.
Important, but minor.
It's why we're able to kind of sit here and talk about most of the bug fixes.
Exactly.
Stand up because
you do, to Lalonde's point, you do need to make a change to update to 101. You can see examples of that at, look, ASP.NET Core 1 blog post. That's the link.
Yeah, click on that. That link right there.
That link doesn't exist. Exactly.
Empty set.
Right. So then I go find that blog post that's not yet done.
I don't see it yet on the web dev blog.
No, I know. It's silly. I thought it'd be done before the thing.
Talk to your employee's boss.
He's on the East Coast, so challenge. Darn it. Where is that blog post? I'm looking through my mail. Entertain the crowd, Glenn.
Entertain the crowd?
Entertain the clown?
The clown.
The
cloud. Entertain the cloud.
Yeah.
Do you guys? I think we've talked a little bit before, but how that roll forward thing. I mean, I know that's not your guys' thing. That's more at the lower level. But like, how is that magic happening? Like,
how is that magic happening?
Well, for instance, like, does that still work if I do like a package publish kind of thing where I publish my entire, bring your .NET framework and all that?
No. So, I mean, the rolling forward policy is done is at the shared framework level dependency, right? Is what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you were to build your own .NET framework, you're probably not depending upon that package, right? The .NET Standard package that has a 1.0 and a 1.1. So you're doing something completely different in that world.
Right. Okay. I'm just trying to entertain.
In which case, you have your own kind of. You wouldn't have necessarily have your own rules, but you would have your own like version numbers and stuff. But
I found the URL that Alon sent me.
Yeah,
but I can't see it because it's not published yet. All right. Well, it'll be up in a minute.
Are you logged in? Maybe you have to be logged in to.
No, I'm logged in.
I'm not.
I have no power.
No,
that's cool.
Sorry.
No, it's all good.
So that's our 101 release. We also started to ship the ASP.NET Core Docker images that we talked about last week. We said last week that we were going to build them. And so right now, in fact, on Docker Hub, there is an ASP.NET Core image, just one of the two that we talked about. And it has 101. It's 4.101. It is just the .NET run, the ability to run an already compiled application, and it has version 101 of the shared framework. It layers on the .NET Docker image. So you can go there now. It's on Docker Hub, Microsoft/ASP.NET Core. And you could play with it if you want. There's a brief README that has a bit of a description. I'd expect us to probably kind of tweak and update this README a little bit in coming time. And then also an ASP.NET Core build image that we talked about last time that has kind of pre-restored NuGet packages in it will also light up in the next couple of days probably.
Did you? I remember from the last one we talked a little bit about like looking at Ubuntu. I think I even said it right that time. Ubuntu. I'm going to write a pronunciation guide up on my own.
Or just pronounce it Ubuntu.
I can't do that. I'm sorry, Scott. But we talked about using that as a smaller core than Debian.
Is that smaller? I don't believe it is, right?
I thought someone said that.
I think what that was a confusion about so when using Docker, there's lots of confusion about size in Docker. One of the things that can happen is when you look at Docker Hub and you go and click on the tags and you see size in that column, that's the kind of compressed tarball size. That's your download size. Once that hits your disk, it gets extracted. And so the size that you see in Docker images is not the same as the size you see on Docker Hub. And when you look at the size of like Debian on Docker Hub, it's that same base image that we depend upon is only like 80 meg, but it extracts out to like 125, I think it is, the Debian Jesse base image.
Okay.
So I think it might be a little bit smaller. I don't think it's not as significant as what we were kind of talking about last time.
Cool. Oh, one other thing that's interesting, not related to ASP.NET, but .NET, but the Google Hangouts stuff, Google Hangouts on Air shut down yesterday.
The thing that we're using right now?
The thing that we're using right now.
Shut down yesterday.
And apparently we're still able to access this interface through YouTube. So we created this from YouTube, and it seems to be working so far. So hopefully, when we stop the show in a minute, it will show up on the YouTube link. But this is not Google Hangouts on Air. It's something else.
Excellent.
Weird. So
hopefully,
anywho, it's good.
Hopefully that is good. There was an amazing moment just before we started this show where I said, "Hey, Scott, are we doing this?" And he said, "Yeah, I just have to find out how to use this product that doesn't work anymore."
Yes. Just took me a moment to figure out how to use the product.
That took him about 3 minutes, so that was a pretty good...
So the last thing, just before we go, the Docker stuff is is where?
On Docker
Hub.docker. Let me share my screen again. Because we want to respect the people. Let me know when you can see that.
It is not this one.
Not this one?
No, there's one with core at the end of the name. See how this one has a big label that says this repository is...
Can we just delete this thing? Can we just toss it? It's old.
Yeah, yes, we should.
Why don't we just torch that entire thing?
So remove, so ASP.NET Core.
RC1. There you go.
Yeah, it does need to be deleted, but not until everybody had moved off it and we'd updated the...
Understood, but if you wouldn't mind torching it, that would be lovely.
And
people in Git are talking about whether we should use 1.0.star because that would give you roll forward to LAN with ASP.NET.
Look, there's all this Git conversation I hadn't scrolled down to.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I feel kind of guilty saying it, but it's not wrong to do it, but it's not always right to do it. It depends on what you value more. Do you always want the latest?
There will totally be people that will tell you it's wrong.
Sorry, what's that?
There will totally be people that will tell you it's wrong. But
people are free to their opinions, even if they're wrong.
I mean, if you choose to put star in there, as far as I know, that works fine. But
Yeah,
it does mean it'll just be automatically rolling.
No, I think the point is prescription from us is what is needed. So there's us, the community, and there's us, you all, Microsoft. What's the right way to do it? And like to the point of people in Gitter, some kind of patch tool, I could type .NET patch star .NET patch 1.0.1 and have it fix it.
Yeah, we have talked about CLI tools like this.
We even started writing a tool. Andrew Nurse, one of the Andrew Stanton hyphen
who is watching
Nurse, actually started working on a tool. It turns out it just got a little bit more complicated than we thought to do it automatically, especially when your project.json has more complex dependencies targeting multiple frameworks. We definitely want to ship something like that. It turns out we knew it'd be complicated. It turns out it's even more complicated than we thought it would be.
Yeah.
So I think a good amount of time, but
it needs to be figured out. And I think Damien agrees that it's in the long term, it's going to have to happen because you just described something that is manual, complicated, and problematic for humans.
Yes.
If only we had, computers to do that work for us.
Yes. Unfortunately, teaching computers is difficult.
Going 1.0.star says in a different intent.
Yes.
It's like let the universe figure it out, as opposed to patch, .NET patch 1.0.1 says I know what I want that.
One really important thing to keep in mind is using 1.0.star does not solve all your problems when it comes to getting the latest because of transitive dependencies.
Yeah.
So if you're not referencing MVC directly, let's say you're referencing, Scott Hanselman Super MVC, it references Microsoft.ASP.core.MVC, but that does not show up in your project.json file. Your project.json file references only Scott Hanselman.SuperMVC. And it references that with stars. That's fine, but you will not pick up MVC 1.0.1.
Until Scott Hanselman ships.
Until Scott Hanselman updates.
The thing is, though, this is hard for everyone. Like, even if you look at Node, like, show me a Node app that restores cleanly without a warning about deprecations. You know what I mean? It doesn't exist.
Yeah, no, of course.
But I don't feel like we should follow Node all that way. Like, stuff should restore cleanly. So, yeah, it's a tough problem. It definitely, and it gets complicated fast. And Visual Studio would need to be smart about it as well. So that's probably a conversation for another day.
Yeah, like I said, we definitely want to build a tool. We started prototyping a tool. It turned out there was no way we could get it done in time, and so we'll take another crack at it. And fortunately, right now the world isn't that complicated because we don't have very many patches. But 3 months, 6 months, 12 months from now, as you showed in your Notepad 2 file. You'll have 1.0.7s and 1.0.3s and 1.0.4s and
that's and nobody wants that.
Nobody, even it's not that woe be the customer. Even if a customer comes and asks me, like I don't know, like I can tell you, I could find the list of the latest versions, but the instructions of how to update your project.json file are very complicated. They will be then, certainly, much more so.
In the dystopian future you just described.
Yes, exactly.
So hopefully we won't get that far, and we'll come up with a better way to do it.
But the one thing about Star we didn't, I guess, talk about is when you are too aggressive with the stars, and then your build is not the same as my build, right? Over time, like when you check out, if a goal for you is to be able to clone the Git repo and build it at any time in the future, without it breaking, stars don't. In any star anywhere doesn't give you that guarantee, right? Because things could have changed, and then something might have broken. Even in the very lowest patch version, because sometimes we make mistakes.
To my perspective is that, how Damien's got that great slide that talks about, do you want your food well done or your steak rare or medium rare? There's going to be long-term support, and then there's, what's the other term support?
Fast track support.
Fast track support. So there's the, do I want to go slow or fast, insiders slow, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I want to be able to say, .NET patch -LTS and say, put me in the state that is the latest, most supported, most compatible, safest thing, period. And maybe the .NET command line goes and downloads some XML file, some JavaScript file that goes and says, here's the current best prescription. and fixes it for me. But
yeah, that's what we want to do.
Good.
That's what this.
We need like to Damien's point. It has to be a designed experience, because the idea that people should read a blog post and manually edit a text file and hope that they didn't miss a single number that could be the security issue isn't acceptable.
Totally agree. Absolutely agree.
Good. It's awesome. Cool. So good things are happening. 101 is out. We'll have a blog post up soon. Not sure what's up, but we'll find out. I think that it is. Well, I know that the .NET blog one is being written off right now by Lander, and I'm sure that Jeff will have the web one. So by this time tomorrow, or if you're overseas, this time later tonight, that should be ready to go. You guys, we miss anything?
The one thing there is we talked about the LTE, LTS and FTS.
We briefly touched on it.
I also believe that for the Docker images, we will have a tag that points to those.
Excellent.
It'll point to whichever of the versions is that. So you'll be able to use like Microsoft ASP.NET Core LTS, and it'll be whichever LTS, and it'll be whatever the LTS version is at this moment. I don't know that everybody necessarily wants to use that. Lots of people like to put explicit versions in their Docker files, so they'll always be available as well. But yeah, if you just say I'm good with being whatever the LTS is, go, then you could do that. One
point that just came up on Gitter, Luke just asked if 1.0.1 has a new hosting bundle installer.
I believe we do have a new hosting bundle installer for that.
If you go to .net and click on other downloads, I see Windows Server hosting. I'm clicking on it, and yes, it is .NET Core 101 Windows hosting. So yes,
yep, absolutely.
We spun a new one of that as well. So good, yeah. So we're learning how to do this. Yes, so it's good. Cool. Make sense?
Yeah.
Good. Shiny. All right. And also, good news, not for you all who are the alpha geeks, but two interesting things happening. Maria and Jeff and I are going to Seattle on next Monday, and we're going to do an MVA. So we're going to update the MVA, the legendary Glenn Condren MVA.
People are still sending handsome applause after that.
Yeah, we are still. I get applause every day from that. That was the smartest thing we ever did. So we're going to come and update. You're going to help, right, Glenn?
Yeah, I'm going to help.
You're going to help with that?
I am indeed.
Are you? Could you be more excited?
I'll show you more excited. Yeah, I'm going to help with that. That's going to be amazing.
Excited. Yeah, this guy, he's so excited. Yes, oh, he's so excited.
Oh, man. So yeah, so we're going to do an MVA. So that's exciting. And what was the other thing that was exciting that was going to happen? Oh, darn it. Oh, and Alon just emailed me that he fixed that NuGet thing.
Totally fixed
so
it.
Nice. So
MyGet thing.
MyGet. Cool. Great. We're good. All right. Goodbye, everybody. Let's do dramatic zoom out.
Ooh, engage. Dramatic zoom. Bye.
Dramatic zoom out. It's so dramatic.